an organization. A notarized affidavit is required stating you have the authority to speak on behalf of that organization. Please bring your cards to me now if you haven't done so already. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outburst, or dialogue with any person speaking. Anyone in violation may be asked to leave. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, as I call roll this evening, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Pro Tem Jan Jacobus.
Present.
Councilmember Andrea Veerhoff.
Here.
Councilmember Juliette Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Carol Cookerly.
Present, and I would like to welcome Mason McElveen to be with us tonight. He is the son of our great Parks and Rec Chief, Tom McElveen, and he's sitting up here, and he's not shy. I love that. Nice to see you, Mason.
Thank you so much. For the record, Councilmember Doug Haney, Councilmember Phil Cranber, and our Mayor Peyton Jamison is absent. Mayor Pro Tem, you do have a quorum. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is approval of the meeting agenda. I would like to add agenda item number 25-147, consideration of an ordinance to restrict the use of fireworks near equine facilities, section 11.7, noise control to the Unified Development Code for the city of Milton, Georgia, under first presentation. The reason this item is being added to the agenda is to ensure timely implementation ahead of the 4th of July holiday. Is there a motion and a second?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Cookerly and a second from Councilmember Johnson to approve the meeting agenda as amended. Please submit your votes. Where am
Oops, that didn't work.
If you want to.
Here we go.
Okay, there it goes.
I? It says voting is not open.
Can we do a manual?
It's open. It's open.
Oh,
Mine is saying it's not open. Do it again. Can't do anything for it.
Bear with me. My apologies. Jan, grab your iPad.
over here. I assume it's yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sometimes it just takes a big brain, doesn't it?
That out.
Yeah.
And we have a full board here, Mayor Pro Tem.
That passes unanimously. Next is general public comment. Tammy, do we have any general public comments?
Mayor Pro Tem, we do not have any general public comment for this evening.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Will the city clerk please sound the items?
Mayor, that first item is approval of the May 19th, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes. It's agenda item number 25-136. Our next item is the approval of the financial statements and investment report for the period ending April the 30th, 2025. It's agenda item number 25-137. Our next item is approval of a construction services agreement between the City of Milton and Prime Contractors, Inc. for the exterior weather protection of the McConnell Chadwick House. Agenda item number 25-138. Our next item is approval of a recreation provider agreement between the City of Milton and Halftime Sports, LLC to provide youth basketball programming. Agenda item number 25-139. Next is approval of a construction services agreement between the City of Milton and 54 Faith, Inc. It's doing business as 5 Star Painting for the exterior painting of the Thomas Bird House. It's agenda item number 25-140. Our next item, approval of a recreation provider agreement between the City of Milton and Hopewell Youth Association to continue to provide youth baseball programming. Agenda item number 25-141. Our next item is approval of an agreement between the City of Milton and Bounce House Inflatables of Atlanta. It's doing business as Bounce House Atlanta regarding children's activities for Crabapple Fest 2025. Agenda item number 25142. Our final consent agenda item is approval of subdivision plats and revisions. The name of the development, bear with me, Mayor, is a portion of the Homestead Milton's lots 7 and 8. It's 2050 and 2060 Magnolia Lane. It's land lot 543 and 544. It's the District 2, Section 2. It's a minor plat, and this minor plat is to reconfigure the common line for 2050 and 2060 Magnolia Lane, lots 7 and 8, and revise ingress and egress easement across lots 7 and 8. The original easements on lots 7 and 8, final plat of the Homestead Plat Book 452, page 128 through 142 to be abandoned. It's a total of 11.33 acres. Our second development is Waterford Homes at 15245 Birmingham Highway, land lot 522, it's District 2, Section 2, a minor plat to subdivide the property into 2 lots. Both lots will be 2.194 acres in size with a total of 4.387 acres and a density of 0.45 lots per acre. It is agenda item number 25143, and that concludes consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem?
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read. Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Veerhoff and a second from Councilmember Johnson to approve the consent agenda as read. Please submit your votes. That passes unanimously. Moving on to the reports and presentations, will the city clerk please sound the first item?
Mayor, that item is presentation of 2024 Fire Annual Report. Our Fire Chief, Chief Gabe Ben Musa.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Okay, so before you, I'll be presenting the Milton Fire Rescue 2024 Annual Report. It sort of summarizes all of the things that we've accomplished. We'll share some data as well. So as far as maintaining our ISO Class 2, no change there. The entity that's in charge of doing the evaluation has not come out because typically they can come out when we request it, or I can just show up and do the assessment. But so far we've met all our ISO Class 2 requirements when it comes to training, fire hydrant service, inspections, everything, operations. And then for this year in 2025, we submitted our first official report for the accreditation. It's 1 year after we have to submit an annual report. So we submitted that, it was accepted. So that means we stay accredited for moving on for 2025. Some of the highlights, we've expanded the Milton Fire Cares community paramedicine. We have reduced low acuity calls by over 85%. That is, 2023 was about 66%. Now it's about 85%, meaning that overutilization of 911 by some citizens. The community paramedic will engage with those citizens, and they'll try to get ahead of them calling 911 unnecessarily. So they'll try to connect them with healthcare, try to make visits to make sure they're maintaining, taking their medications, they're seeing their doctors, their appointments. So we're seeing a reduction of those low acuity calls by 85%. The average response to the care units also responds to high acuity calls like cardiac arrests, strokes. The average response time of that unit is about 2 minutes and 35 seconds. And now our community paramedic is also a registered nurse. He obtained his registered nurse license, which expands the scope of practice things he can do out there as a registered nurse as well as paramedic. We delivered some fall prevention classes for seniors in collaboration with North Fulton Hospital and local nursing homes. We partnered with the Parks and Recs, offered CPR, AED, Stop the Bleed, as well as last year was our first year doing Safe Sitter course. That is a certification course for young young, I would say young adults, not even preteen and teen for safe sitters, meaning safely to babysit kids and toddlers and things like that. They get CPR training, they get how to deal with a choking emergency, calling 911, how to properly even change diapers, things like that. It's a great class, and our next class is opening up next month as well. And we also, through our efforts, through our community risk reduction in 2023, we had a spike in cooking fires in a particular area of the city. So we focused our fire prevention efforts in that area with messaging, communication, education, and we reduced those in 2024 by 50%, cooking fires originating in the kitchen. We also reduced our average response time by 1 minute. We went from 7:10 to 6 minutes and 10 seconds. We responded to 3,500 calls. That is a slight drop from 2023. We had just about 2,700 calls. A lot of it could be attributed to what the community paramedic is doing, getting ahead of those calls. So it's reducing the call volume. It's a 3.9 decrease, which is compared to other departments, they're seeing a spike in calls. So,
Pardon me, Chief,
yes.
is that an aggregate of fire and rescue? That
All
number?
calls,
All
everything,
calls,
yes.
okay.
Everything that we get called on, hazmat, TLR calls for large animal rescue, public service, falls, accidents, fires, everything, EMS
Okay.
calls, yeah. Our EMS calls they represent about 50% of our volume here in the city. Nationwide, the average of EMS calls for a fire department is about 85 to 89%. So we have a great community. So yeah, absolutely. When we share those numbers, they're like, how are you guys 40-some% to 50%? It's magic. We enhanced our city emergency management program and preparedness. We've trained multiple staff citywide to come together when we have weather events or disasters to staff the EOC. So that training is cross-functional across all departments in the city. So if you ever have to come to the Emergency Operations Center, you'll see that there's public works, there's fire, there's police, there's admin, there HR, everyone is there. Everybody's cross-trained in emergency management and disaster preparedness. So we come together as a team, so we're able to do some training. We also developed our safety and security plan. There's an emergency management committee that's made up of multiple city employees. And it's chaired by Chief Baswell, who's our emergency manager. So they work together to come up with those plans and update our continuity of operations plans. We were first in the nation to develop the EV charging station fire protection ordinance. That was a great accomplishment for us to be ahead and kind of be innovators. Our ordinance got copied by multiple cities nationwide. We received so many calls wanting to see copies of that and how we got to that point. So those blankets now are installed in the 2 locations in the city for charging stations, but that kind of sets the stage for the future if there were more of those charging stations coming into the city. Now, obviously, we continue to rely on technology for efficiencies, especially when it comes to response time, by using the automatic vehicle locator, the closest unit response to the emergency versus having to figure out where and distance. So it's automatic. It's all done through satellite, through geolocalization of the apparatus and which one's closest to that address. These are just some numbers. We had about $1.7 million in property loss. That is a very conservative estimate, but we also saved about $1.462 million in properties saved. That is also an estimate, and that is for fires only, when we talk about structure fires. We ran about 94 fire calls. Not all of those were structure fire in a sense. Actual structure fires, we had about nine of those.
And Chief, how do you qualify those numbers? Does that come from insurance reimbursement?
That's our fire investigator works with the insurance, and based on the damage that they have, they assess that damage, and they determine how much was the loss and how much was saved from that property.
Good. The greatest accomplishment is our cardiac arrest.
compared to 2023, we had a 153% increase in survivability. We went from 13% to 33% from 23 to 24. That is, when I talk about 33%, those are people that actually walked out of the hospital with zero damage. They were able to walk out of the hospital on their own. So, and if we added all of the other ones that might survive, maybe passed on later, that's another set of data which would increase that even higher. So we just took the actual saves. Those are the actual numbers. So it was 153% increase in survivability. And that is due to our, and actually what's remarkable is those rates were affected. If you look at the data by bystander CPR, we had those saves actually had to do with bystanders doing CPR prior to our arrival, which reinforces the early CPR, early defibrillation makes a difference. So you could see in the comparison where in 2023, we didn't have as many bystander CPRs. Obviously, it affected the numbers. And then in 2024, we had many more bystander CPR there by a family member, a neighbor, or someone in a restaurant, a public place. It had increased our numbers significantly. It increases the chance of survival, coupled with the technology that we use, the auto pulse, and as well as the awesome paramedics and firefighter EMTs that we have in the city, and how they practice medicine very aggressively when it comes to those type of emergencies, medical emergencies. The EMS, the Milton Fire Cares instructed about 362 citizens in healthcare topics and wellness. They delivered about 112 hours of classroom. These are some CARES numbers. We were able to teach 186 CPR classes, patient education about 111 engagements, and then we taught safe sitters about 33. Also, the CARES unit really reduces a cost on our engines, the wear and tear when they go to those calls. When he goes to those low acuity calls, it keeps the engine and the ambulance that we have, and even AMR ambulance in service for actual emergencies. And as you can see, the average call is it costs about $150 less than an average fire engine responding to that. Engines were canceled 62 times, and the rescue was canceled 21 times. That meaning that 62 times at a time, they were available if it was a true emergency or a fire. They were available in service, which is exactly the outcomes that we want to see of the community paramedic program. It's having an impact not only in the community, but also operationally for us, keeping more units in service. This is the reduction in 911 utilization by CARES patients. It's about 85% right now. Again, that's up from 2023 previously, which was about 66%. So we're increasing that engagement with our 911 users. These are just some of the programs. Our presence in our community career day. We do career day for the fire service at multiple schools. We do a home fire safety survey. Learn hands-on CPR only. We do car safety checks, safe sitter, we do home safety evaluations upon request, smoke carbon monoxide detectors. We have the barn safety evaluation program as well. And then we do fire extinguisher training. And then as part of our EV safety, we have the EV safety garage stickers. That's a voluntary program. It just, if there was ever a fire at a residence, we look for that sticker so we know that in the garage there is an EV charging, because it presents a different risk if that EV is on fire, because it could be an explosive hazard. So that just helps our firefighters stay safe. So we have multiple residents that come by and grab the sticker, and it's a small sticker. They put it on the frame of the garage. It's you can't really, it doesn't affect the aesthetics of the home. It's another program that was also modeled after nationwide. As far as strategic plan, we're moving, actually we're almost done with it. We have only a few areas, but ensure Milton sustainability resiliency, we have sort of achieved all our goals, goal 2 and goal 4. Ensuring Milton sustainability and resiliency, we're actually in the process of replacing our TLAR truck, going into a trailer, a well-equipped trailer. And then the last part of this is when we get to build Station 45 in the future. Just had some promotions, which is great to see. the accomplishments in our department through professional development. Some people promoting to captain, driver, as well as to battalion chief and deputy chief. So it's a good movement within the organization. And then some other celebrations in our community, the 9/11 ceremony that we do with Milton High School, the pancake breakfast with Santa. It's the ever popular pancake breakfast with Santa. I think we have to build a station just for
And
pancakes
Mrs.
with Santa.
Santa. And Mrs. Santa.
That's right, and Mrs. Santa. We have other events, Touch the Truck, Christmas festivity, menorah lighting, you name it. We partner a lot with Parks and Recs. They do a great job working together and setting some of those programs for us too. And that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, happy to answer.
It's always nice to have your report.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to first presentation. Will the city clerk please sound the item?
Mayor Pro Tem, that first item is consideration of an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Milton, Georgia, to adopt amendments to the fiscal 2025 budget for each fund of the City of Milton, Georgia, amending the amounts shown in each budget as expenditures, amending the several items of revenue appropriations, including the use of additional occupational tax revenue, prohibiting expenditures to exceed appropriations, and prohibiting expenditures to exceed actual funding available. It's agenda item number 25144. And Mayor Pro Tem, the added first presentation item tonight that was done under approval of meeting agenda is consideration of an ordinance to restrict the use of fireworks near equine facilities, section 11.7 noise control, to the Unified Development Code for the City of Milton, Georgia. Agenda item number 25147. Mayor Pro Tem?
Is there a motion and a second?
Make a motion that we approve the first presentation as read.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Veerhoff and a second from Councilmember Cookerly to approve the first presentation items as read.
Ready to vote?
Voting is
Oh,
open.
I got to vote on here. That is unanimous. Moving on to the public hearing, will the city clerk please sound that item?
That item is consideration of an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Milton, Georgia, to adopt amendments to the fiscal 2025 budget for each fund of the City of Milton, Georgia, amending the amounts shown in each budget as expenditures, amending the several items of revenue appropriations, including the use of additional occupational tax. Did I mess up? Prohibiting expenditures to exceed appropriations and prohibiting expenditures to exceed actual funding available. Agenda item 25144, our Deputy City Manager, Ms. Bernadette Harville.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As staff monitors the budget throughout the year and changes in circumstances occur that require council consideration, we prepare a formal budget amendment. The agenda item before you takes into account updates to the fiscal year 2025 budget, which require a change in total departmental appropriations. In other words, these are requests that will either increase or decrease a department's budget within a certain fund, which require council's approval. Tonight, we will discuss these requests in detail, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. The item requires 2 reads and will be brought back for a vote at the regular city council meeting scheduled for June 16th. The budget for this fiscal year was approved on September 16th, 2024, after a series of public meetings throughout the spring and summer, as well as a budget workshop in August and 2 public hearings held that September. On this page, you can see the summary for the general fund with the initial adopted budget on the left, with the revenues for fiscal year 2025 at $47.3 million and the proposed amendments at $1.2 million, resulting in an amended revenue anticipation in the amount of $48.5 million for fiscal year 2025. We'll go over some of the more significant revenue changes in just a moment. And moving down to the expenditures, you can see the current budget at $46.9 million, with the proposed amendments at $21,954. Which includes the department's expenditure requests, which will primarily be covered utilizing contingency funds, with the exception of changes resulting from dedicated revenue sources such as insurance premiums or donations. The fiscal year 2025 fund balance is currently projected to be $15,935,132, which exceeds our required reserve of 25% of the subsequent year's projected fund balance. At this time, staff has not made a request to transfer excess fund balance beyond that required reserve to the PAYGO program in the Capital Projects Fund, as we await final feedback from council on the Deerfield Park build-out, which will be based on price projections that staff will bring back in an upcoming work session. So those funds will be allocated at the next council amendment in September. The main drivers of revenue coming in higher than anticipated include an increase of $250,000 to current year real property taxes to account for data from the most recent digest available from Fulton County. Title ad valorem and intangible taxes coming in higher than anticipated with a $100,000 increase to each being requested. An increase to land disturbance permit revenue and fines and forfeitures in the amount of $150,000 respectively to reflect collections to date, as well as those forecasted through September 30th for each revenue source. The city has also recognized a transfer in from the ARPA fund of $120,656 as a result of interest earned on unspent funds. Interest earned on these funds are not subject to the program restrictions per final guidance from the Treasury and can be used for other city expenses. On the expenditure side, we have a request for $26,700 in the city clerk department to cover expenses associated with the codification of the UDC. This budget was originally requested in fiscal year '24, but the timing of the work with Municode crossed fiscal years, and we need to reallocate those funds in this fiscal year's budget. Legal fees have come in higher than anticipated with litigation still pending. Staff is requesting an increase of $175,000 to cover projected expenses. Human Resources has a request for $66,000 related to the professional fees, including implementation of the new HRIS, retirement plan advisory services to remain in compliance with our fiduciary responsibilities, employee training, and the annual engagement survey, which have come in altogether a little higher than originally forecasted for this expenditure category. The Police, Fire, Public Works, and Parks and Recreation Department requests are related to the recognition of specific revenues received for insurance proceeds and donations, which will be allocated to the corresponding expense accounts to account for costs associated with repairing equipment and infrastructure damages and purchasing equipment related directly to the donations made. The last two items are related to a transfer out to the Revenue Bond Fund to account for expenses associated with the arbitrage yield reduction payment or earnings received beyond the allowable threshold on interest earnings related to the 2019 bond series, as well as a reduction of contingency funds to cover the increases we just went over on the previous page that were not related to those dedicated funding sources. If anyone has any questions, I'll answer them at this point. Just the general fund questions.
What's the reason for the big change in the land disturbance?
We are seeing a lot of the original permits coming to actual activity, and so it's kind of hard to project when that activity will begin, and we are seeing greater land disturbance than we had originally anticipated in our 5-year forecast. Working with community development now to kind of look at the next 5-year segment to see if we're seeing any changes based on that that'll go in the cycle towards the actual permitting and things like that. So it's kind of a cyclical in nature activity. Once that land disturbance comes, you see an increase in the permit revenue next, and we're forecasting that now.
Thank you.
And I can get additional information on the exact projects if you need them. Okay, so next we will move on to the special revenue funds. In the Special Events Fund, we are recognizing vendor fees for Crabapple Fest and event sponsorships across multiple events. These revenues will go towards the indicated events along with revenues from the hotel motel taxes collected and any city funding needed to support the events hosted throughout the fiscal year. Fund balance in the confiscated assets fund is allocated when approved spending is incurred. Here we have a request to recognize $2,500 in eligible spending related to the new task force Milton joined along with Johns Creek and Forsyth County. Idle funds in the American Rescue Plan Fund are being recognized and transferred to the general fund as these earnings do not have the same program restrictions as the initial recovery funds received. And if there's any questions about those 3 special revenue funds, I'm happy to answer them now. Okay, we'll move on to the capital projects funds. The main capital projects fund has a request for changes in revenue recognition related to tree recompense funds and insurance proceeds received in fiscal year '25 that will be allocated across the corresponding expenditure accounts below. We also have expenditure amendments for fire to request $15,500 from contingency to cover the cost of replacing the Teeler truck. The original vehicle was a donation to the city that has come to an end of its useful life, and the department is requesting funding for a trailer that can be pulled by an existing admin vehicle when needed instead of having a standalone vehicle for these purposes. Fire has also requested $8,545 to purchase facility security equipment that will go along with the program implemented at other city facilities. Public Works has those insurance proceeds being recognized, as well as a request of $87,907 to the pavement management project to account for infrastructure maintenance fees and interest earned in the fund. Active Parks has a request for $80,194 to the land acquisition account to cover property tax expenses for properties acquired in fiscal year '24. Passive Parks has a request to allocate stormwater facility revenues collected in fiscal year '24 to be earmarked for future repairs and maintenance of the facility at Lakeside Park, or at the Mayfield Lake Park. The request in community development is to recognize those tree recompense funds to be earmarked for future tree purchases. And we have a reduction of contingency to cover the requests made above that are not associated with those dedicated revenue sources. Interest revenues earned for investment of idle funds in the green space bond are being recognized in the land conservation account, yielding a balance of $5.7 million in eligible funding, including interest earning projections through September 30th, 2025. In the T-SPLOST fund, we are budgeting for the grant related to the Safe Streets and Roads for All program, including $200,000 in anticipated local funding from True North 400. We are also recognizing a true-up of the revenue anticipations from the City of Roswell for the Cox Road intersection improvement project, as well as insurance proceeds received to date. And you'll see those revenues allocated across the corresponding project accounts to the expenditure section below. In the Capital Grant Fund, we have the recognition of supplemental LMIG funds, which have been allocated towards the city's pavement management program. And finally, we have the Revenue Bond Fund and the amendments needed to recognize the arbitrage yield reduction payment we discussed earlier, including the use of final fund balance to close out this fund as all projects have been completed that are associated with that bond. Be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bernadette?
Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
No.
Do we have any public comments for those in support or in opposition, Tam?
We do not, sir.
Public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Moving on to the zoning agenda. Will the city clerk please read the zoning rules and then sound the first item?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. When the Mayor Pro Tem and City Council consider a zoning agenda, these items include rezoning petitions, modifications of zoning use permits, and associated concurrent variances, in addition to ordinances, resolutions, and text amendments. The applicant and all those speaking in support of an application will be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present the petition. The opposition will also be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present its position. If time remains, the opposition will be allowed to rebuke. The applicant may choose to save some of the time for rebuttal following the presentation by the opposition. Since the burden of proof is upon the applicant will be allowed to make closing remarks, provided time remains with the allotted time. Those called to speak will be taken in the order in which they were received. The Planning Commission has heard the rezoning agenda items, and their recommendations have been forwarded to the mayor and city council for consideration and disposition. The applicant shall not submit material to council during this meeting unless requested to do so. All material that you wish to be reviewed by the council and consider if your application should have already been submitted to the Community Development Department and is included in the normal distribution of packages to the council. When an opponent on a rezoning action has made within 2 years, immediately preceding the filing of the rezoning action being opposed, campaign contributions aggregating $250 or more to a local government official of the local government which will consider the application, it will be the duty of the opponent to file a disclosure with the governing authority of the respective local government at least 5 days prior to the Planning Commission meeting. A violation of relevant state statute constitutes a misdemeanor. Therefore, if you have contributed $250 or more to a council member and you have not filed a disclosure prior to the Planning Commission meeting, the city attorney strongly suggests that you have someone else speak for your point of view. Our first zoning item this evening is consideration of RZ 2505, Article 8, Use Provisions, Section 8.1. 8.2.1 use table for all districts except form-based codes regarding Assembly Hall event facility to the Unified Development Code for the City of Milton, Georgia. It's agenda item number 25125. Our zoning manager, Robin McDonald.
Good evening, council. Tonight, I'm here to present a small text amendment to the use table for all districts except form-based code. The purpose of this text amendment is to allow assembly hall / event facility use only within an approved use permit. Currently, it is assigned as by right. By approving this change, Assembly Hall event facility will require a use permit in C1 and MIX mixed use. No one made comments at this item at the CZIM in March, and the Planning Commission at its meeting in April unanimously recommended approval as presented by staff. And here we are with our use table, the traditional zoning districts, and you can see here Assembly Hall event facility. We're striking out P and replacing it with U, meaning that it would require a use permit. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions. So.
We have any public comment? For
We
this?
do not, Mayor Pro Tem.
The public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Is there a motion and a second?
Make a motion that we approve agenda item number 25-125.
Second?
I have a motion from Councilmember Veerhoff and a second from Councilmember Johnson to approve agenda item number 25-125. Please submit your votes. That passes unanimously. Will the city clerk please sound the next item?
Mayor Pro Tem, that next item is consideration of RZ 2506, Article 2, General Provisions, Article 6, Special Purpose Districts, Article 7A, Crabapple Form-Based Code, Article 7B, Deerfield Form-Based Code, and Article 9, Site Development regarding stormwater facilities to correct references within the above articles to the Unified Development Code for the City of Milton, Georgia. Agenda item number 25126. Ms. McDonald?
Tonight, the purpose of this text amendment is to correct the references for stormwater detention in various locations within the UDC. Stormwater detention reference section 2.3.6, which does not exist in the UDC. The correct reference is section 10.2.4.c, detention retention design, which is within Article 10, streets and improvements. Below are the list of locations where the correction will occur. At the Planning Commission meeting on April 23rd, it was unanimously recommended approval as presented by staff, as well as there were no comments at the CZIM meeting. So here's the sections that are impacted by this text amendment. I won't bore you with all the various ones. They were read into the record by the city clerk. This is the actual reference to the section of detention retention design within Article 10 or Section 10. So, and with that, I am open to any questions or comments.
No questions? Do we have any public comment?
We do not, sir.
The public hearing is now closed for this item. Is there any council discussion? Is there a motion and a second?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion that we approve agenda item number 25-126.
Second?
I have a motion from Councilmember Kirkley and a second from Councilmember Johnson to approve agenda item number 25-126. Please submit your votes. Why am I the one that has the problems?
I see you do it.
There you
She's
go.
watching me do it. Refresh. Yes. Submit vote. Yes, it's unanimous. Oh, my gosh. Moving on to unfinished business. Will the city clerk please sound the next item? That item.
Mayor Pro Tem, that item is consideration of an ordinance to modify the council's internal rules of procedure to remove language prohibiting official action during the public hearing agenda. It's agenda item number 25124, our city attorney's office, Mr. Jeff Strickland.
Good evening, everyone. What you have before you is an ordinance to amend your internal rules, as the clerk has just stated. The purpose of this, as you have, I believe, previously discussed, is to create some efficiencies based on public participation at public hearings and allowing the city council to make a decision on the matter without having to postpone that decision to later in the agenda or even at a different meeting. If you would prefer to make that decision right away, you could do so. And the proposed language is removing a sentence from the rule, removing no official action shall be taken at any such public hearing, which was a bit confusing and onerous. And the proposed edit simply removes that sentence and leaves the remainder of the rule as previously stated. Any questions about the purpose of the amendment or the ordinance before you?
No, it's much appreciated.
Any public comment?
There are none, sir.
Okay. Any council discussion? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve agenda item number 25-124.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Johnson and a second from Councilmember Veerhoff to approve agenda item number 25-124. Please submit your votes. Passes unanimously. Moving on to new business, will the city clerk please sound the item?
That new business item is consideration of a resolution to condemn property rights needed for Reb Road at Cogburn Road Left Turn Lane and Widening Project, Parcel 1, 0.029 acres of fee simple right-of-way, 332.12 square feet of temporary easement for constructions of slopes, track 1, and 2,945.15 square feet of temporary easement for construction of slopes, such as track 2. The owner is Fulton Greens Limited Partnership. Agenda item number 25145, Mr. Rob Del Ross.
Thanks, Tammy. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. The item tonight before you is authorizing staff in the city attorney's office to condemn property rights for parcel 1 for the Webb at Cogburn intersection project. I'll try to keep this brief. Webb at Cogburn, we are providing left turn lanes on Webb Road approaching Cogburn and Windward Parkway. The parcel in question is the star you see on the screen. The city limit line is in blue. You'll notice that the parcel is located in the city of Alpharetta. That makes this a little bit unique. Across the street from the new dentist office, southwest corner of the intersection, and Hopewell Middle being the northwest corner of the intersection. We are widening to the south to provide the left turn lane that has impacted the parcel in question. It is undeveloped, located in the city of Alpharetta. We are acquiring 0.029 acres of right-of-way and a little over 3,200 square feet of temporary easement. The fair market value of the impact is $51,800. Our city attorney's office always reminds you this action does not mean the end of negotiations. This allows the city's project to move forward while we allow the legal process to determine the final price. We have been in contact with the property owner. We sent a 10-day letter 2 weeks ago. They responded last week. We are hopeful to avoid filing this with the court, but we don't have a lot of time. We anticipate filing by the end of the week. So if we're able to reach a settlement in the next couple of days, we will not file. Otherwise, we will. Any questions for me?
Any discussion? Do we have a motion and a second?
I make a motion, we approve agenda item number 25-145.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Kirkley and a second from Councilmember Veerhoff to approve agenda item number 25-145. Please submit your vote. That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Moving on to mayor and council reports. Does anyone have anything they want to say? No?
Nope, nothing new.
That concludes the regular city council meeting. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Johnson and a second from Councilmember Cookerly. Please vote.
Well done.
That is unanimous. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much.